Have you ever considered that some people in their 30s may not have children for a valid reason? Not just because they're selfish or don't want kids. Having children is a personal decision that many people make in their lives. But what happens when someone reaches the age of 30 and still hasn't started a family? Is there something wrong with them? You know what? There's absolutely nothing wrong with deciding not to have kids in your 20s. It's a personal choice that each one of us has the right to make. But for everyone to understand, I'd love to share some of my thoughts with you on this, and maybe we can both learn something new. One thing I've noticed is that there are so many amazing single people around us. In today's world, finding a partner can be a real challenge, and sadly, many people give up on each other way too early and choose to divorce or separate instead of working through their problems, which can be a major setback when it comes to the decision to have kids. I believe that one of the most important parts is to have a partner you can rely on. After all, raising a child takes a lot of work and support. I'm sure you've seen those couples who thought they were ready for parenthood only to break up a year or two later. It's a heartbreaking situation that can leave a child feeling lost and confused. It's natural to think twice about having kids when you hear about examples like this. You want to ensure that any child you bring into the world is surrounded by love, stability, and a supportive family. So I think it's important to take your time and make sure that you and your partner are on the same page before starting a family. It's true that there may never be a perfect time to have children. Life is unpredictable and unexpected challenges can arise at any moment. But it's important to remember that having children is a huge responsibility that requires a lot of hard work and dedication. As a parent, you're tasked with the job of nurturing, guiding, and protecting your child, and that's not always an easy task. You'll need to be prepared to provide for your child's basic needs, such as food, clothing, and shelter. And that's when financial worries come into the picture. Imagine you're someone who's not lucky enough to have their parents' financial support, and you need to pay for your own rent or mortgage, which may already take up a big chunk of your earnings. On top of that, you've got bills for food, electricity, and other essentials. Even if you're not someone who spends a lot of money on social activities, you're still left with very little by the end of the month. Now, if you add a baby to the picture, things can get even more complicated. Suddenly, you need to allocate your tiny leftover money for things like diapers, baby clothes, and nutritious food. Plus, one of you will need to take time off work to care for the baby, which can further strain your finances. You may even need to consider relocating to a bigger place to accommodate your growing family. And that's just the beginning. As the child grows, there will be more needs to fulfill, like trying out new classes or sports, trendy gadgets, and the list goes on. And that's why I think it's important to consider all the factors involved when making the decision to have children, including the financial responsibilities. Money isn't everything, but when you're constantly worrying about how to make ends meet, it can be hard to take on more responsibilities. It's important to consider the impact that financial stress can have on your overall well-being, as well as the well-being of any children you may have. Children are incredibly perceptive, and if they see their parents worrying or arguing all the time, they may start to feel anxious or stressed themselves. This can have a negative impact on their mental health and well-being, and it's something that parents would need to be mindful of. Another reason why you may think twice about starting a family is that you may have grown up in a family where things were tough and it left you wishing for something different. Maybe you've decided that you want to create a more supportive and loving environment for your own child, one that you didn't get to experience yourself. And it shows that you're committed to provide for your child with the kind of upbringing that they deserve. By prioritizing your child's well-being, you're already setting the stage for a happy and healthy family dynamic. There's also an emotional aspect to consider, and it's crucial to be emotionally ready before taking on the role of a parent. When you have a child, you become responsible for another person's emotional well-being, in addition to their physical needs. You need to be prepared to provide emotional support and guidance, as well as a safe and loving environment for your child to grow and thrive. This can be a big challenge, especially if you're not in the right headspace. That's why it's important to take the time to evaluate your emotional readiness before deciding to have a child. Just because society pressures you to get married and have children by a certain age doesn't mean that it must be that way. Mental and emotional stability is more important than what others think of you and how they see you. It's important to remember that constantly worrying about marriage and kids can take away from enjoying your youth. You don't want to look back and realize that you missed out on all the fun experiences because you were too busy stressing about hitting certain milestones. Many people don't realize that having kids will change your life so much so, it's better to be ready for the change. It's also important to remember that some people may face health challenges that prevent them from having children. They may desperately want to start a family, but due to health issues, it's just not possible. When people ask them why they don't have kids, it can be a very sensitive topic that can bring up a lot of emotions. So it's crucial to be mindful of the questions we ask and understand that everyone's journey is different. Some people may choose not to have children simply because they feel fulfilled in other areas of their life. They may prefer to spend their time traveling, pursuing their passions, or simply enjoying a more relaxed social life without the added responsibility of parenthood. And that's perfectly okay. It's important to remember that everyone has different priorities and goals in life, and there's no one-size-fits-all approach to happiness. So if you're someone who's decided that having children is not for you, don't let societal pressures or expectations make you feel like you're missing out. Embrace your unique path and enjoy all the joys that life has to offer. Now that we've discussed a few reasons why some people choose not to have kids by the age of 30, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. So feel free to leave a comment below. And if you're not sure whether you're ready to start a family or not, why not consider getting a furry friend? Getting a dog, for example, can give you a glimpse of the love and care that comes with having a baby. But before you do, check out my video on pets and happiness to learn more.